Okay, we're back on Cory's Henry J today. We're going to do the kingpins. Like I said, someone's been into this at least at one time in his life because originally I took one side apart already. It's supposed to have a fold over lock. Mopar is a little bit different. It has a little goofy fold over lock. If you're used to Fords, see someone's flattened it. If you're used to Fords have a cinch bolt that goes right through that locks onto a flat. These guys just have a flat that the bolt goes onto. That's all it is. It's a little bit, we'll say, maybe cheaper, I don't know. But the bolt just sits on there and that's it. Kingpin gets locked against, and then on Dodges like this one, I have never worked on any Dodges. The kingpin cannot fall through the bottom, hits the steering arm, so steering arm's got to get unbolted, of course. And then this one I already did, I tapped it, seemed okay though. The other bolts were hella tight on here, but yeah, so we'll get those out, and we'll get the kingpins, we'll get the bushings pushed out, push new ones in, and then get them ringed. Honestly, I don't have a hone handy for this. Like for Fords, I do have a hone, because we do more of all the stuff is all Fords, but Dodge I don't have a home because it's the 7/8 opposed to Fords, which are 13/16. So we'll just use the old kingpin reamer for this, it'll work quite fine. So we got everything labeled. Cory wants lots of part to clean it up here, so I'm not going to bore you guys with taking a bunch of nuts and bolts off. I don't think people really care that much to see that. But the axle's like a 64-ish Dodge.
Something like that.
It's like a D100 or a half ton, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get her apart and show taking the bushings out and show reaming it. Like I said, I just literally took a punch that side, one hit and it is down. So they're definitely loose in the bores. As I said, as long as the axle's okay, we'll find out here. But I'm assuming the amount of work the guy went to for this axle, the axle will be okay. So yeah, like I said, I don't know if people want to really watch me take off bolts. It's not overly exciting. Like I said, most of these are already broke loose. Like I said, this originally did have cotter pins on. Someone's taking all the cotter pins off of it, so like I said, we're not the first people into this thing. Truthfully, we'll probably be the last, but you never know.
Hopefully. Anything's possible.
But Dodges, I mean, this is very similar to basically the old Ford front ends. It's just drag link with your steering arm here, very simple. And I said there. 15/16 on the steering arm. The weird thing is, somebody had this all apart, but they didn't bother to clean anything up. It just boggles my mind. Doing all that work to take stuff apart. Why not clean it? Teach their own, I guess. And Mopar liked using, or Dodge liked using fine bolts and all this stuff. So what I'll do is I'll break this guy loose. As long as I got a wrench, I should have been a little more prepared here. Oh, 11/16. And you'll see, by rights, and I mean people, oh, that one's tight. You should never strike a hardened thing. It even says in there with a punch, and I'll be the first to say I've done it before. I did bring a brass punch over, but because you'll have somebody say you shouldn't strike it with a steel punch, and probably they're right. Here's a weird one. Oh, it's a double lock on Mopar. Okay, that's weird. So yeah, you have this guy goes into. Okay, this is a weird setup here. That's what other pieces there for. I honestly didn't know because it wasn't on either side there. So this guy locks in. There's a little hole that corresponds in your axle, and then I guess you fold. I'm not quite sure how this fold over works. I'll have to actually look at that. That's kind of weird. Like I said, Ford used a better idea with a tapered wedge. That's what they still use on semis today. Well, we'll see how tight this is.
You want me to put a jack?
We're gonna put an axle stand. That other one literally.
Well, here, I'll grab a jack.
Yeah, we'll get a jack and an axle stand underneath here.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll be back. And we're back, folks.
And we got a jack underneath taken because they said the other one literally went like this. It wasn't a hard hit. This is.
Oh, it's coming.
At least it's steel, so that's good. It's not real rusty.
Oh, my knees.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. You get older, they suck more. Okay, let's see what happens.
It is coming.
Actually, the kingpin's in really nice shape.
Because when I jiggled the wheel with the tire on, it seemed tight, but I figured, well, we got them anyway.
We got them, may as well change. But truthfully, you could probably, if you're L cheap, we could mic this up. See, someone's been here because you see they hand ground it. They peened it over. But you probably could get away with reusing this, changing the bushings out. But I mean, you have them as a kit, so
yeah,
this ain't the 30s. All you got to do here, because Ford uses a ball bearing thrust. This actually uses a bronze thrust. I'll pull my gut out here, and you'll see here. See, there's your little thrust up top there. That's a steel one. This actually, oh, this is a cup one, but the weird in the kit Cory got, this was a bearing of some sort in there. But you look in the kit, and it's a bronze one, because I'm used to Fords. Yeah, there's the thrust washer there. I guess I gotta look at this kit. I've never really looked at it much, but like I said, I've done so many Fords, but this one I'm not used to. But yeah, we'll get her figured out and get her back together, hopefully.
Hopefully is the key word.
So I mean, always just keep in mind your weight goes down where your thrust goes off. For obvious reasons, it goes on the bottom. But yeah, we'll do one at a time probably, because we'll see what time constraints are today. Oh shit, she is rusty. She is rusty.
I wonder, should I guess you can't really sandblast that stuff, or
You can sandblast it, just if you want to block that and sandblast that, or however you want to do it.
Well, I wonder if I should tomorrow morning maybe, or we'll take this stuff to dynamic if we get it all knocked apart today,
Yeah, we could, yeah.
and then tomorrow morning we'll just go first thing and I can sandblast this stuff up.
Yeah,
That way it'll just be cleaner.
yeah. It's always nice to work with clean stuff.
Yeah, that way I can do the backing plates.
Yeah, because that way you get all that stuff done. You take the steering arms off, get that all done, and then it's done.
Yeah, it'll look good. And then on a side note, then tomorrow we can reinstall it. But I got all my brakes.
Rock Auto.
Rock Auto, folks. Yeah, brakes. I forgot bearings, but I'll order those next week. But I got wheel cylinders, hoses.
Hopefully they're not used.
Hopefully not. And even, I think this is the one. New headlight switch for the El Camino.
Are we going to bore them with taking the other side apart, because it's literally the same?
Nah, we're good. Alrighty.
Okay, just to get the last little bit out here, we'll knock the bushings out. I just took just a piece of 1-inch 4140. I turn it down about 5 thou, and then make an undercut for the bushing to go into. And it appears I should have turned down a few more thou. I'll just pop it out the other way. I'll throw it back on the lathe. But yeah, the bushings, fuck, you see how much they gold on there bad. So, I don't know if the camera picked that up or not, but we'll clean this all up and do it properly. So, pop that out.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah, I turned it down. I measured. That mic was like 995. So we can make it a couple thou smaller. Not gonna hurt nothing. So the advantage of having a lathe 5 feet over. Oh, where's the bench? Too much stuff on the bench here. There it goes. Okay. We'll toss that in the lathe in. Oh, you can see what happened. It got gold on the spot where this thing's gold before.
I see that.
I'll take it from the side. Oh, what? You can see a bad spot in here, but I don't know what the hell that's about. No one would have never with a torch before. Like I said, we'll get it cleaned up tomorrow and put it back together. We'll take a few more thou off of that so we don't get caught up again.
Doo-doo-doo. I got those chips fly. Not really, but
What a 5,000 bucks. Someone's probably going to comment I shouldn't have loose short sleeves or long sleeves. They're probably right.
all right. We're gonna do the other one then.
Yeah, we'll knock the other one out and then be ready for cleaning, and then we'll install the bushings tomorrow one.
Oh, I forgot about this intake.
That's the one. It was made in the 50s. They split the intake. They split the exhaust and made. I actually had ran that intake.
Yeah.
The engine that's off is sitting outside. That's when they decked. Oh, I can't remember, 32nd off or something. Increased the compression, and they did a bunch of stuff. That was done all in the 50s.
That's better.
There we go. That one came out better. The same thing. It's scarred up too. Oh, what the hell?
Let's see.
See, scarred. Not as bad as that the other one, but. She's had some owies. Like, well, look in here. What the fuck happened here? Like I said, if this old junk could talk, who knows what backyard mechanics done what?
People from Penny's Hot Rods and
Well,
Customs.
that's what I said. Who knows at least screwed around with? And somebody's like, "Oh, you're doing it wrong." I've had enough of that in my life. Same as tightness on the bottom again.
Swing.
Keep in mind, this is the other side. Yeah, that one's fine. Huh.
Still a question, is that the passenger or the driver's side?
Let's see. This one's the driver's.
Alright.
I think in the big scheme of things, these ones, it doesn't make a difference. By the looks of it, it does not make a difference. Because your steering arms bolt up to them, so... One more bushing out. These guys be ready to go.
And pew, tried to get an action shot there.
Did you get one?
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, that's your 4 bushings out anyway, so we'll clean this guy up and then we'll get him ready for...
Yeah, I'll just tape up the spindle part and then I'll sandblast
Yeah,
them.
tape up the spindles, just tape up the holes and,
Yeah.
and the thrust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the thrust, I mean, they're not bad, they're not great, but you can see this did have a thrust failure at one time. You can see where it's dug in a bit. Like I said, probably ran to the damn thing, couldn't steer straight down the road. They're like, oh, we maybe should fix it. Kingpins are the last thing people ever maintain. Kind of like ball joints.
Yep.
Anyways, folks.
Okay, so I'm at Boog's work, just doing some sandblasting. I've got most of everything done. I'm just about to do the spindles. I've taped everything off and plugged everything so sand doesn't get in there and wreck the surfaces. So I'm all happy with that. But yeah, everything turned out not too bad. There's a few spots the sandblaster won't take off, so I'll go take them to the wire wheel before I prime it. But yeah, a lot of the old heavy grease she won't remove, so I'll quickly sandblast these guys up and we'll prime them and then back home. Probably stop for a big gulp first, but yeah, that's the plan. Man, sandblasting's boring. At least it's working good today though. Sometimes, not so much. Today it's working primo.
Alright, we just got one bushing in. For me, my personal preference, this is how I do it with the split. I always put the split in towards the spindle. That way, like where your grease hole is, because obviously you have to line up with your grease hole, and the split is on a grease hole. I like putting the split inwards. That's how I always do it. These ones aren't too bad. So you can see one's already pounded in. I leave just a little bit of a gap on here. It's maybe a 30-second there. At the end of the day, it doesn't make really a hill of beans as long as grease can get in. I wasn't aware on these Dodges, actually there is that recess on the top. There's actually, well, I'll call them Welch plugs, I guess. Welch plugs go in there. So I was not aware of this. Like I said, honestly, I can't remember doing a Dodge. And you gotta remember in a Dodge, one grease nipple goes this way, one goes that way. So not a huge deal. These I do install dry, no lubrication, no nothing. You're pretty generous on the grease spots on these. So get it square. Definitely a little bit tighter than the other one, but she goes in nonetheless. Oh, there we go. She's that out of the way. Just a little bit more. Well, the only good news is at least they're nice and tight.
That's a plus.
So that way, just like I said, it's just from the bottom here. Line's good, so everything's good. I'm happy with that because that'll work. And I said I won't bore you with the next one, then we'll get set up and we'll start doing reaming. When we used to do this at work, I've done hundreds of these over the years. We actually used to have 2 vices, so that way you just go back and forth, back and forth. My old journeyman actually had, years ago, I don't know what happened, had a vice. You actually rotate the thing, because his theory was always do one side, go through the other side to try to correct it as much as possible. The better way to do it, I don't have a hone, is over there. I have a kingpin hone for doing the flatheads, which are 13/16 setup. Probably could have fudged on here, but I'm not going to bother. And some of the bigger trucks, like the one in the 16th, we do. But I don't have one for 3/4. I guess maybe it's time to buy one. But the better way is to hone them than to ream them. But whatever, it'll work. Thousands of guys do it, so we'll get the other bushing in. We'll back it a bit, and we'll show kind of how I set up to do the reaming. Okay, we're back reaming here. I just did this one in the bottom. You can see, I don't know how Corey's going to pick that up. It's just starting to round now. I probably got an 80% cleanup. I just measured it. Shooting for about 874 and a half. The pin's like 873 and a half. Or sorry, 874. We're shooting for half to 1 thou. So these will just clean up. They're clevites. Some of them now, it depends. We've had some offshore ones before. They don't even clean up. We've had some, I did a Volkswagen set here a while ago. They probably leave like a 30 seconds, so you never know what you get. As far as the fit goes on this, I will always, for passenger cars and like light trucks like this, try to go for a double thumb push. I was telling Corey we did years ago. We only ever did one for their business. There was a Sims, a Ford 9000, so you know, big axe on it. For those, we like to do a kingpin, especially the bronze kingpins. We're not talking about the sardine cans or the plastic ones. Just so the dead below hammer, small dead below hammer, just a nice tap, 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 tap. A lot of weight hanging on a semi-axle. Comes back. You guys don't know what you're doing. I've been a mechanic for 40 years. So we happen to have literature on kingpin sizes at work and that fitting that from service bulletins. We show them what the Ford recommends and what Rockwell recommends, and these guys don't know what they're talking about. Oh, it goes on and on. So we make it. Keep in mind, it's like a 2-inch kingpin. Fell right through. The guy's like, that's what they're supposed to be. I'm like, no, they're not, but if that's what you want, go for it. So anyway, I mean, kingpins have always been a topic of debate, but how I like to do is just a nice double thumb push for a car, or a half thumb like this. But anyway, so simple enough. Kingpin reamer, adjuster goes down on here. I just spread a little bit of tap tool on there because it's sticky. You get it? And you see it's still, you can hear it's still not 100% round, but it's rounding enough nicely. You see the chip comes out. And it don't take much, like I said. We'll do another half turn. That'll get us closer, then I'll actually do a measurement to see where we're at.
I seen the money shot when the chips were flying.
So just in case someone's wondering, we're not too big yet. Kingpin doesn't even start, so. But yeah, so we'll do another, like I said, I'll do about a half turn on here. Like I said, it's not rocket science, but it's just, you know, it's funny in Winnipeg now. Our buddy Dave, like, he does big trucks and that, so there's another place in Winnipeg that does them. Using a panic. I do them for sometimes. He actually has my reamers because I didn't have the time, so he has them now. But he paid good money to do it, and same thing, the kingpin just fell through, so he was not overly happy on that. I could tell lots of stories about kingpins and people in Winnipeg, how bad they are. But, like I said, it doesn't take long once you're set up. Years ago, like I said, we used to do so many at work, we actually had them set up, especially we did lots of Fords, because Ford, same from 28 to 80, they're all the same size. So you'd kind of have a rough and a finish usually. But oh, it's pretty small over there. I'm just busy talking here and trying to not pay too much attention. But the worst set of kingpins we ever did, it was some British car, and they were step kingpins. They used a different diameter. I want to say it was an MG or Triumph. I can't remember. It was some British car. And that was a pain in the ass to do.
Is it because they put cats in pies?
They didn't put cats in their pies, but they had, I think, honestly, I'll say that the top one was smaller, the bottom was bigger. I can't remember, and it was just.
Or is it because they make their planes out of wood?
Yeah, that's about it. You want to hold it? We'll flip that over.
All right. I'm doing work.
Oh.
There you go.
And then we had another customer, old Bruce. Your finger clear?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Comes in. These were flat rated years ago in the old days. And at that time, for semi-kingpins, you charge an hour and a half. And if they left everything on, sometimes it'd be 2 hours. Especially if they came in dirty, you couldn't even touch them. So he thought that was too outrageous. He said, oh, I got a shop they'll do for 45 bucks. So, this is probably about 5 years ago. So I said, that's fine. I said, do you mind me asking the shop to do it? Because for 45 bucks, we'll start sending our customers there. Because if they can get it done that cheap, not a problem. Bruce was kind of a moron. He's dead now, but he comes back about 3 days later with the same kingpins. How come the shop didn't do it? He said they do it for 45 bucks. Oh, they said they can't do it that cheap. And they can't do it, it's too big. I said, well, what do you do? So we just, I won't use the word, our word, but we just hosed them on that price. You want to be an asshole? You get an asshole fee. Ask Corey with dealing with assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll do now, we did both sides on this, we'll measure, see where we're at. We should probably be up, I'm guessing, at around 873, 872, I'm thinking. Like I said, yeah. Measuring's not necessary, but that way at least you know where you're at. Oh, I lied, we're at 871.
How far do we gotta go?
About 874, 74 and a half.
We're getting there.
So we're getting there. We'll do another just under half a turn, and that'll take us right in the ballpark.
Alrighty, we'll be back.
Okay, just to kind of show us talking about our double thumb push here. This is just the first one out of the 4 on the final one, so I can just basically push it. This obviously has to be done underneath. I haven't done it yet. So it's just a nice, you feel some drag on it, but you can push it by hand. So like I said, it's just a nice fit. So I can tap it nice by hand, no problem. He's running manual steering. My old boss used to be in the old days, power steering, make him tighter because the thing's gonna wear in, but whatever. But yeah, so that's just a nice, that's how I like to do kingpins there. Like I said, everyone has an opinion. Years ago, me and my boss was sick with cancer and I was off somewhere, so they had another guy at work doing, he was actually a cokehead. And they called me the next day to take a look at it. And there was no, because these are all bronze back, or steel back bronze covered. He took the reamer and machined all the bronze away and the thing fell in. It's like, well, that's no good. So anyways. So
what you're saying is drink Coke, don't do Coke?
Yeah, drink Coke, don't do Coke, folks. Coke's a bad thing. Coke, crack, meth. There's a new drug out here, I forget the name of it, they had in the news the other day there. So don't do drugs.
Drugs are bad.
Like Mr. Mackey says. But yeah, so we'll get them done here. And then I think we're installing these today, aren't we?
You betcha.
I don't know if I'll tell any more boring stories. I might tell one more. But like I said, I could probably sit here all day and tell stories about dealing with the public. I hate the public. Bunch of idiots. Anyways, back to Raymond. Okay, kingpins are fitted. A final test I like to do. This is my personal thing. Just a nice snap fit. And what I do, tap it to a 21 mil wrench. Now I see you might have somebody watching to say they're too tight or too loose. That's how I like to do them. The time you get a little bit of grease in there, it's fine. Like I can push down, like just push them like that. Like I said, double thumb push. That's why I was always taught to do a double thumb push. So that's what we do. We'll get them cleaned out, blown out, put some grease nipples in here. When we get them in, the last thing to do is to put Welch plugs on the top and bottom. Just put them in, stake them in. Actually, not stake them, just give them a hit on the top. Thrust bushing's a little bit goofy in these now. I figured out how these work. What it is, they use a bronze thrust on the bottom. That's just, I guess, a cup, let's say a dust seal. On the top is a hardened washer. They use a steel washer goes on the top. It does come with one shim kit just in case if your axle does have a little bit of wear in it. Right there. Honestly, for this design, for the time it would take, if that was badly worn, I think I would just make a new one of these. Just out of 660 bronze, because this is actually sintered bronze. I'd go 660 and just take your clearance up there for what it is. I hate putting shims in axles. I've never been a fan of it. I mean, I understand why you do it. I've never been a fan of it. But so that's basically reaming out kingpins. Like I said, some people say honing is better, and I will concede honing is better. This does work quite nicely. So it took us, what, half hour, and we were kind of dicking around for the video. It doesn't take long. And no real special tools other than if we didn't even need a lathe to make the driver. I mean, it made life easier, but you can do it without it. But yeah, and just an old, that reamer's older than I am. And yeah, that's kingpins in a nutshell. Not a big deal. People make a big deal of it. I mean, unfortunately, we in Cory people want to make stuff look nice and run nice, but also on the mechanical side, it's got to steer nice. You ever been in a vehicle with loose kingpins and it's all over the road? It's terrible. I mean, a lot of people overlook them, but like I said, with that kingpin set cost you from Rock Auto, it was like 60 bucks.
Not even.
Not even. And I mean, even if you take it to a shop, we used to charge, now what our shop rate, I think is 120 for kingpins, I think is what our rate is now for them. But I mean, there's cheaper shops out there as well. If you can find them, unfortunately up here it's getting harder to find the guys to do them. But yeah, I guess we'll go get these guys installed. And are you going to shoot these with a coat of black paint before we install them?
No, I'll install them and then I'll paint them afterwards.
Okay. But yeah, we'll go do that. And yeah. I hope you weren't looking for Bill Murray on this. Some people might get that joke, a lot probably won't. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? Cory got it.
Yep.